Hi, I'm Roland with Impress Computers, and today we're going to be discussing IT support for companies that are in the manufacturing, construction, and architectural industries. And we've got with us a member from our IT MSP team, Marlon.
Thank you.
Welcome. For the past 20 years, Impress Computers has been supporting companies in the manufacturing, architectural, and construction industries. And we've become specialists in the type of software that they use. So Marlon, tell me a little bit about the type of software that those companies are going to be using and your experience with installing it and updating that software.
Sure. So basically for blue collar companies, you have architectures, you have construction companies. They mainly will use blueprint stuff or graphical design stuff. So you have Bluebeams, which is most of these construction companies will use that for PDF, for editing and that sort of thing. And you have the architecture firm, which is kind of higher on a higher level. That's when they jump to Enscape, Revit, AutoCAD, and a bunch of other things. The ones that we see the most take most of the time, especially when it's been deployed for the first time. Especially if they have like add-ins and all that sort of thing. Typically, these installs can take anywhere between 45 minutes up to maybe 2 hours, depending on the machine, which is make sure that everything's up to spec, everything's up to date. I will say there's an add-in called Enscape. A lot of the times, if you don't have an up-to-date and your video cards drivers are outdated, they kind of fight each other to where they don't like, and you'll get all kinds of errors and that sort of thing.
And how important is it to have the correct type of hardware? What happens if you're trying to install that software and they're running with a 4-year-old video card or processor? Is that going to impact them?
Absolutely, yes. So with the new stuff that's coming out there, it requires far better graphics, much more RAM if you're a heavy 3D renderer or even 4D renderer. So you will want to make sure that you have good to spec processor, RAM, and especially the video card. You can either go with, a lot of people will go with like the RTX series nowadays with the gaming video cards. And some of these people that we work as well, some of them go with the Quadro card. So basically you have gaming and the kind of the industry where they do more of the graphical design. Either way, they work fine. But basically, you want to make sure that everything is up to date and everything is good and running. Both on software, on Revit, you got to make sure you have support and licensing. And same goes for the video card. Make sure that the video card is up to date as well.
So the new 13th generation processors, what kind of difference are people going to expect to see from like an 8th generation to a 13th generation?
So there's a website that you can see the points, and when you do the render test, you can tell by the minutes or even hours on difference on how long it'll take to render a simple graphical building, for example, as opposed to maybe 20-30 minutes, depending on how robust your machine is and how heavy the file is. So technically, the newer, the much better. You can probably render more drawings if you're on commission or contract. The more you do, the more money you get. If you work for bigger architecture firm with bigger contracts, you're going to be more focused, and you want to make sure that everything on your project gets done beforehand. The deadline you have is.
And what do you think if you're going from like a GTX 1080 up to the RTX 4090 or 3090?
That's a huge difference. Absolutely, yes. With the new RTX series, they basically came out with a total new different animal chipset, and like the 4090, which is the most robust that they have, you can render very, very quick in 4K animation. I mean, it's ridiculous the speed that you can see on GTX 1080 video card as opposed to a 4090 video card. But basically, the better. It kind of goes, you gotta pay what you get for. You get what you pay for.
And then you've got to upgrade the rest of those components.
Absolutely.
Sometimes you're going to have a bottleneck if you upgrade the video card, but the processor, your processor is going to be the bottleneck, or if you don't have enough RAM. But what would be the complications if you just took an RTX 4090 video card and put it into an older machine? Is it even going to run?
No. So back in its day, for those out there that knows about like UEFI or legacy mode. If you have such an older machine, the new video cards or some of the PCI slots like carb chip cards and that sort of thing, they do not work with older models. So you do have a limit cap.
And what about the power supply? Is it going to require a bigger power supply?
Yes. The bigger the video card, the more wattage it will eat. So let's say for the 4090 NVIDIA will recommend like an 850 watt. Minimum recommended will be about 1,000 watt because it actually draws power not only when it renders, but when you turn on the machine, that click, it draws a lot of juice. So if you have the minimum requirement, it kind of shorts the lifespan out of that power supply because it's almost at the cap to where it's kind of struggling, breathing for catching some air. Yeah.
So sometimes you can upgrade some of the components.
Sometimes you're going to have to get a brand new computer.
And then obviously you're working with the new DDR5 memory, 13th generation.
Which is all better at the end of the day. I think if you're an architectural firm out there or maybe construction and you render a lot and you have good clients and you want to keep and all this and that, it's best to invest the money on a good computer. And it's not like you're going to spend money every year. Now, you can probably wait 3-5 years and then do it again when it's time to do the upgrade again.
Great. Marlon, thanks a lot for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Well, thank you for watching. We're going to be bringing up many more of these videos that are informational and they're designed to help you, whether they're protecting your environment, protecting your infrastructure or your network. Marlon, thank you for your time today.
Thank you, sir.